Growing up, I had dreams and aspirations, but always felt like the kid that didn't fit in. For the most part, I wasn't a bad kid, but when I made the transition into adulthood, I turned to the streets for guidance. This led to getting locked up in juvenile hall, doing time in CYA, and eventually a 120-month sentence in federal prison. I had a lot of time to think and reflect during my federal sentence, so I share with you what I learned, hoping I can positively influence someone else's life with Prison Talk. Had another question from one of our viewers. What's up? What's good, Big Herc? Had a quick question for you. When I did about 4 months in county jail, I talked to a lot of guys that said they couldn't wait to get to prison because of reasons I didn't understand. Maybe more freedom in the sense that they could do more and wouldn't be so bored all the time. If you could differentiate between the two, what would your thoughts be? Better food, more freedom to roam around? Thanks, Herc. Love the Fresh Out channel. Much love. Going to prison, as far as from the county jail, a lot of times you're just so frustrated and ready to get your program on that, and you want to get somewhere where you can get settled in and get your time out the way. Now, if you're fighting your case, you could be fighting your case, 4, 5, 3 years. I mean, you could be fighting your case for a long time in the county. I mean, sometimes they'll have you going back and forth to court to stress you out, and you won't even appear in court. You'll just go on the ride. So they'll keep waking you up in the morning to take you on a ride. It's called, it's called the mental fuck. The DA, hey, they, mark all these guys up, have them get up, have them come down here, and they do that over a period of time. And then when they keep offering you the deal, eventually you just break down mentally and take the deal. If you've been going on bus rides for 30 months and you figure to go to jury trial, it's going to be another year. And then a lot of times people are like, fuck it, man, let me just take my deal and get the fuck out of here and go to, go to the big house. And they say that because, county, it's horrible. You got some of these racist ass county. I mean, all the counties are horrible, man. Just the sheriff's up in there, punking motherfuckers, beating their ass. The food is shit. You got, people coming in from the street who are detoxing, people who were homeless who are now in there, and it's a nasty situation. It's funky. You have no privacy, and you don't have privacy in prison either. And it's funky in prison also, but when people get to prison, they figure at least I can, have resources as far as, the library. I can, get my program going. And these are people who have already said in their mind they're going to do time. But if you're a fighter, you want to, you put up with it. You gotta look past all the shortcomings of county jail, and you just got to keep fighting, man. I mean, for example, a county jail, for one top ramen, they'll charge you $1. In the prison, that same top ramen might be, 25, 20 cents. In the county jail, a box of oatmeal might be fucking $8. You go to prison, that's just $2. So a lot of guys hear from other guys who have been to prison and think like, well, man, if I get to prison, I can, start getting my time going. I can get my program going. I can, try to focus my mind. But it's all jail. It's all lockup. When I got to prison from the county was horrible, and I got to prison. I knew I was going to have to do some time, but at least I knew I was going to get access to resources. In the county jail, the law library is very limited. They don't like to let you study up in there. They don't want to let you have material. You can't have legal material sent in. You can only look at stuff sometimes with your attorney. It's just the sheriffs treat you like shit. It's fucked up, man. And they say, and I'm not sitting there trying to say, oh, the sheriffs, they got to do they do their job, but to a degree they do their job and beyond, and they just fuck with people because they're miserable because they're in a fucked up spot, but they took the job. And then the people that in there are miserable because they're locked up. And it's the uncertainty. So it's a lot of things going through your head. You got a girlfriend maybe you were going to get married to, or you were dating, and she's about to fall off and go hook up with John to get some weenie. You know what I mean? Your wife is talking about leaving you. Your kids can't see you, can't touch you. So it's just you're just fucked up in the head mentally, man. It's a lot of stress. So that's why guys say, hey man, I get to the pen, I can get my visits. And even when you get to the pen, they might ship you across the country if you're in the feds, or if you're in a state, some obscure town that's like, you know, 3 hours outside of any residential. So it's still fucked up, you know. And you get there, and it's motherfuckers been in there living there for 20 years, 10 years, 30 years. So it's just a lot of you know, you're invading somebody's privacy, and then you got to deal with that shit. So it's really I don't know if you want to say the lesser of two evils, but I didn't look at prison as being home either. You know, some people get there and they're like, oh, they settle in and buff the floors and, you know, polish the sink and all that shit, man. This is a government shit. This is a state shit, man. I don't own this shit. I'm here just to keep it clean enough for me to get the fuck out. That was my mentality. You know, when I was in the county, when I was at an actual place, well, actually, I started off at MDC, and I was able to go to law library and study, and then they shipped me to a fucked up county, and they had no resources, no material, and they do that purposely because if you're fighting your case and you're a smart guy, and a lot of times I don't give a fuck if you have a paid attorney, do some research and start making sure this motherfucker's doing what he's supposed to do, and he's shepherdizing and looking up the right cases to support your defense. You know, they see you doing all that, they'll move you somewhere where you can't do that no more, purposely. And, you know, people are like, why would you do that? Because they want you to be up in there. They don't give a fuck you're innocent or whatever. They feel to some degree you're guilty, so you should be doing time. And it's job security. So they'll move you from a place where you might have resources or other people you're studying with to somewhere that's fucked up. So that's why guys get frustrated and like be like, fuck it, man. But it's all mainly the people who are talking like that. Some guys institutionalized. They're going to go home, visit their homies, you know, go kick it. Other guys are newbies and they're just frustrated and they're tired and they've been beat up mentally, you know, with you know, bus therapy and court therapy where you're sitting there, it's cold, you're hungry, and, you know, you're squatting, coughing 3 times a day. Motherfucker looking in your asshole. They know more about your asshole than you do, you know. And it just gets to a point where it's like too much, and you're like, fuck it, man. Let me just go get my time with, you know, going. Let me take the deal. Give me the deal. Let me get the fuck out of here. But that's in a nutshell why I say most people say that. But, you know, prison, man, it's a shithole. It's funky. And, you know, I don't give a fuck if, you know, people go there and they think, oh man, I'm a, you know, program and do my thing. Okay, well, as soon as you start buying into that system, you become institutionalized. The hardest thing I felt while I was in prison and in jail was to fight the whole becoming a part of that culture. You know, I never want to become part of that culture. Once you buy into that culture, man, you're done. You know, you're done. You'll get out here and times to get rough, and you'll just, you know, you'll rationalize why you will want to pull another lick or why you'll do something stupid because you've been there before and you're like, fuck it, I can do a prison. So you become institutionalized. And, you know, that's what happened with a lot of those guys who are coming back in there who are like, hey man, I'm ready to go back to prison. They're like, fuck it, man. It's like, you know, I don't want to pay bills on the street. Shit was rough. I couldn't get a job. I just want to do something that's going to give me some time. I go and get off the street for a little while and go back to prison. So it's a lot of mental institutionalism behind guys who are saying that. Number 2, it's a lot of frustration, a lot of uncertainty, and you know, for people who aren't going to prison. No, it doesn't make sense because if you can do your time in the county and go home, then fuck, man, you want to go home. And like I said, you always want to try to fight, you know. I mean, unless you're a person who just lacks any type of assertiveness, and you'll take whatever the motherfucker dishes out to you, like you were doing on the street before. You know, you're doing all this dirt, and then you figure you get caught, fuck it, you go lay down. But I was never that type of person, so. You know, like I said, doing time, whether it be in the county or pen, is both fucked up. But a lot of times it's the mental that beats you up that makes a person want to just say, fuck it, let me go do my time in the pen, get it out the way, or let me go lay down, let me go program. And, you know, for a lot of people, man, they don't know how to separate the two. And they're really, prison is home for, jail's home for them, man. You know, on the street, man, you know, you get frustrated, you deal with things, and you work it out. That's what a sensible person does. You work it out. You figure out, okay, let me do something different. Let me change it up. Let me go meditate. Let me go relax. But people who go back and forth to prison, they they get frustrated and they just want to go have a get a free roof over their head, and sit up in a cell, man, and talk shit and play chess, and get free meals. So it's a different mentality, and it's sad, but it's a reality, man. And if you sat down with a lot of these guys, you would see exactly what I'm talking about if you had a conversation with them, because prison, they'll tell all these exciting stories, and I apologize for not having as many exciting stories, but I wasn't. That shit to me was, it was it was a loser academy, and it was a shithole. I used it for educational purposes and surrounded myself around the most intelligent minds while I was there. But as far as just people coming through there and kicking the bobo, I wasn't with it. I wasn't with that bullshit. And I realized that I had to do something different if I wanted to change the person I was. So, jail, county, county jail, prison, it's all shit.